Hello, guys. So, today I'm going to talk to you about various experiences I had in China, living in China. I lived in China on and off for about, I don't know, let's say 20 years. I went to China in 1999, stroke 2000. So, I went there for 3 months the first time. Then my mum passed away in 2003, 2004. So, I went there for about a year. When my money ran out, I came back. I went back there. Was it 2000? I stayed for a year in London, and I went there and stayed there for another year, and then I stayed there for 3 years in a place called Jiaxing. All the other times I stayed in Beijing, the capital. Jiaxing is near Shanghai, and it's a lovely place. It's the birthplace of the Communist Party in China. And so the first time I went to China, it was a really great experience. I took the Trans-Siberian every time because I'm afraid of taking the plane, and I thought, no, I'll take the Trans-Siberian. Initially, my dream was to go to Japan, but then I thought I'm gonna have to take the plane to go to Japan. So what do I do? I'll or the boat. So instead, I reached China and I just stayed there. I thought, okay, I'll just go to China because my initial goal was to train in the martial arts with a kung fu master, because I used to watch those Hong Kong movies, those martial arts movies, when I was a teenager and in my 20s, 30s. When I went there the first time, I was actually in London. The travel agent, they gave me a ticket for the Trans Siberian. No, sorry, the Trans Mongolian. But they made a cock up. They made a mistake. They didn't. I was actually going through Mongolia. You see, the Trans Siberian is up here. Mongolia is here. So I was going through Mongolia, but I didn't have a visa. So yeah. So when I arrived in Mongolia, passport control, the two soldiers said, "Oh, you haven't got a visa? Come out with us." It was me and a Japanese guy. We went to this bloody hut, this room, and they stamped our passport, and on the passport it said like $35 or something, but the guys were saying $50, $50. So the Japanese guy was starting to complain because he said, "Look, it says here 35, and he's charging us 50. They're conning us." And I said to him, "Look, just be quiet." It was in the middle of the night, and I thought, "No, I don't want to get stuck here with my luggage in the train or something worse. So I said, okay, we just paid the $50 each, and we went back inside the train, and that was okay. It was like a magical experience, going, first of all, traveling alone. And I've never traveled out of Europe. I've gone to Sicily to see my grandparents, you know, like when I was a kid, every 2 summers, if we could afford it, sometimes every summer. Um, yeah, and I went to Amsterdam when I was 19, nowhere else. And so this was, and on my own as well, so far away to another continent. So yeah, so I arrived in Beijing, and then you arrive there at the train station. It's hot, humid. There's like, I don't know, like it seems as like the whole of China is there. The people giving birth, people dying. Not exactly, but it's chaos. And some guy came to me, oh, they've got these pictures of these hotels, and so I chose one that I can like kind of trust, a face that I could trust, and he took me to a place called the Huguo Hotel, and that was a really cool place. I really liked it. I stayed there for a long time. I went to see a medicine doctor, and I stayed for I think it was nearly 3 months I stayed in China, and I think it was 8 weeks I stayed in that place, and then I came back to Beijing. But in that time, I met this girl, and she was so nice. So I had this guy that showed me the the hotel. Then he became my guide, and I paid him about £5 a day, and he showed me around. I went with him to a restaurant, and I just saw this girl. She was a waitress. She was all sweating, but she just looked so sexy. All her hair was kind of wet and working, and she just looked like an angel, really beautiful. I gave her I gave her my email, I think, or my phone number. I think it was my. Why am I finding it difficult to remember if I gave her my phone number? Because in that time in China, you had something called the BBG or the bleeper. So you couldn't. People didn't have mobile phones. There was no mobile phone. I just about got acquainted with how do you call it, the Hotmail. So I just about got used to emails at the time in 1999, 2000. Yeah, so I met her afterwards at the McDonald's. With the BBG, with the bleeper, basically, you have to phone a place like a switchboard, and then they contact the girl or the person, and then she rings you back, I think. I can't remember how it worked, but it was something weird. So anyway, I met her at the local McDonald's, and we sat down, and we had a really nice time. She used to talk about uh, angels, fairies, and spirits and things like that. And she, wrote these poems out. She was only 18 at the time, but it's really lovely, really nice. A few years later, when I met her again after, I don't know, 5 years or whatever, she just changed so much because like in China, the focus, I think the government tell people to try and make money and be successful. She became like a businesswoman, really thinking about money, success. She just changed from this 18-year-old to this. I think it was probably 10 years later. She was about 28. Her face had changed, obviously, but her mind had changed so much. She was so much into money, success, whereas before she was thinking about spiritual stuff, and she was kind of more beautiful then. Obviously, she was younger, but I wonder if like all the stress of thinking about money, gives people wrinkles and makes them, you know, age faster. Maybe, probably. Yeah. So my experiences, the first time I went to China, and the first like Chinese girlfriend that I really, really, really liked, was her. Her name was and is Chen Ling. Yeah. So you always remember, that you're the first person that you not fall in love with, but yeah, she was nice. So it wasn't. I didn't really meet that many girls the first time, but the second time I went in 2004, I met my first proper girlfriend, and her name was Jewel, and I met her at the bus stop. She had a big furry white cat, and it had a lead, and I thought it was quite strange. And so I was looking at her, and I was trying to, I was um, petting her cat, and she was laughing at me, smiling. She couldn't talk English, so we had to talk with like the sign language. My rubbish Chinese at the time. It's not a lot better now. So we got on the bus, and we started talking, and I gave her my card. At that time, they had the mobile phones, these rubbish mobile phones, and so I contacted her, and then we started a relationship. Uh, but she came from an area in China, in the Dongbei area, in a place called Jilin, and she was a bit rough, not very, not very. as they say, Wenro. Wenro means soft, and feminine. She was very rough. And I remember one time we went to buy some vegetables, and she squatted on the floor and was talking to the seller. He had a scale or something. She was a, she was talking like roughly with a rough, saying, "How much of this? Come on," or something. And I thought, bloody hell, what have I got myself into? You know, she was still nice. Yeah, so I met quite a few women in China. Those are the ones that she was the first girlfriend. I split up with her because, yeah, this is embarrassing. But one day I went to the toilet and some yellow stuff came out. It was like custard. I thought, what the hell what's that? And I was so worried. And then I explained to her, I said, I've got a problem here. I don't know what it is. And she laughed. She said, me went to you, no problem. And so she took me to a sex shop where they sell toys and stuff. And which is common in Beijing. She said, she was talking to the guy in the back. She was going, my boyfriend, he's got a problem there. And so she bought some kind of a box out, and it's some kind of device where it's like a thin, soft thing. You have to put it into your urethra and inject some kind of, I don't know, some like Chinese medicine or whatever. And I thought, okay, I'll try it because maybe she thought there's an infection there or something. And I put it inside. Bloody hell, it hurt. So I tried that for 2 days, and then that custard kept coming out. I thought there's something really strange here. So I said, that's it. I don't care how much this costs. I'm going to go to the proper Western hospital in Beijing. It's expensive, but I don't know what this is. I have to seek proper medical attention, not some bloke in a bloody sex shop, an old guy with that contraption. So then I went there with her. I explained to the doctor, the Western guy, and he said, "Oh," he kind of smiled and he said, "Oh, you've got gonorrhea." And I said, "I've heard of that before. I don't know. Is it bad?" I've heard it. He said, "No, it's not bad. It's bad if you don't treat it." So he said, "You take 2 tablets and it'll be gone." And I took the tablets, and within, was it a day, 2 days, a short period, it was gone. Everything was gone. So at that inside the hospital, the nurse who could speak English and could speak Chinese, she explained to her, you have to have this seen to, because she wanted to give her some tablets. And she said, no, I don't need any tablets. It's okay. And she was laughing. No, it's okay. She didn't want to spend any money. I said, I'll spend the money. Don't worry. She didn't want me to spend the money. She said, it's okay. Because she didn't have any symptoms, she thought it was okay. But the nurse was explaining to her, I think it can eat away your fallopian tubes or whatever, because you don't have any symptoms, and then you'll find that later you can't have any children. So that the nurse was explaining that to her, and we left the place with her not taking any medicine. I thought, this girl's crazy. The doctor said to me, he said, "Don't worry, this is common. About 30% of young people in China have gonorrhea or STDs." And I said, bloody hell. And that shocked me, because I thought, yeah, HIV is also an STD. You don't want to catch that, So afterwards, I said to her to take the medicine, but she was just having none of it. She thought, it's not a problem. And I thought, I can't be with her. I'm going to catch it again. So she had such a hard head. And, after a while, we just split up. I didn't want to risk getting it again. And I said to her, you have to take medicine, otherwise you won't be able to have children, maybe. I don't know what happened to her, if she took the medicine or not. Yeah, women like that are hard-headed, and that was a really strange experience. It's embarrassing, but I don't want to ever experience a bloody custard coming out the end of my organ. That's horrible, really horrible. It didn't pain or anything, but it was horrible. Another experience I had was that in China you have these ladies called the leftover women. Like they hit the wall at the age of like 28, 30. And uh, they want to have children, so they have to get married, don't they? And I met two women, like on obviously two separate occasions, two separate periods. The funny thing about these two women was like I didn't have any intimate. No, I did have a kind of intimate relate with one, just kissing and hugging. On another occasion, like after another time that I was there in China, the same thing happened. Namely, I maybe kissed or cuddled, but you couldn't do anything. No, and my head. So sorry, I'm gonna have to move. So there was no kind of like sexual intimacy. I don't know how to say intercourse, and and I wondered why. On both occasions, they explained to me, these two women, that their I'm not good at this. Their organ was too small, too like basically sorry about that, too tiny or tight. I don't know how to say it without being rude. And it's funny that like I didn't meet that many women in China, but two, like, that's a huge percentage. Say if I met 10 women in China and two of them, that's like, what was it, 40% or whatever? No, hang on, 20%? That's a lot. And I suppose I met those women because they could never get married. They could never get married because, they couldn't. I think it's a shame or embarrassment of going to the doctor. I think it must be a condition. I'll find out what the condition is, but it's a condition whereby the the V word is very tight or very very small, and so they can't have a boyfriend, they can't have any intimate relationship with a man, and they're embarrassed or ashamed to go to see their doctor, and nothing gets done, and then they don't get married, they don't have children. That's weird, you know. And on two occasions this happened, so it must be something that does happen in China, you know. So yeah, I found that really weird because I've never known in the UK, or I've never even heard about that, of a lady having the size being so tiny that you can't do anything, you know. So yeah, sorry, it's a bit embarrassing, but yeah, I met two women that two women that had that same problem. I've had some weird experiences with women in China, really strange ones. Once there was a Mongolian lady that she was interested in me. I used to see her sometimes. I used to speak to her, and then she wanted to be like boyfriend and girlfriend. And she was older, I think, either older than me or the same age, 30s. What happened? A really really strange thing happened. Two of her friends, a really pretty one and another chubby one, once came to my apartment, knocked on the door, and I think they were half pissed. And the beautiful one, the pretty one, started kissing me. So I obliged. She was so pretty. I know I shouldn't have, but I wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend with that girl yet. They knew that I was interested in her, and they knew of me. They'd seen me, and she must have said something. And basically they got me in a bed. She started fondling me, and the chubby one was in bed as well, not had her clothes on and everything. I thought, wow, this is going to be like a threesome, and I was not prepared for it. I was kind of up for it, but not really. It has never happened to me before. It was all weird. But what happened was she was saying, like, she was touching me and stuff. She was saying, our friend, she'd lied to you. I said, what do you mean she lied to you? As she was trying to take my stuff off. She actually is married and has a child. And I said, what? She said, what do you think about her now? I said, well, I don't like that. Why didn't she tell me? She's trying to cheat me or something. And then I thought, okay, maybe she just feels embarrassed that she's got a child and she didn't want to say. So then what happened was, I just stopped. I said, no, no, I can't do this. But I already went too far. I already kissed her and fondled and stuff like that. Already it was too far. And then I realized these girls left. They did it on purpose to break us up before we even started. It was like a trap. So they left, and yeah, obviously they told the girl, and really weird, really really weird. These two girls, like one beautiful one and one nice looking and chubby, but why would they do that? They didn't. Were they jealous maybe, or maybe they didn't want jealous of me? They didn't want their friend to be taken away. I've got no idea. The reason the women do stuff. So then when I met my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she became my wife. We started dating, and one day she saw me and her in the supermarket, and from the outside of the supermarket, she saw us, and she went like that. And I thought, oh my goodness. So my wife, my ex, sorry, my ex, my girlfriend at the time, she said, "What's that?" And I said, I'll explain later, another day." So I had quite a few experiences with women in China. I only had I had that lady that another experience that I had. My goodness, this is a terrible one. Well, there was a girl called Lily. She was wasn't beautiful, but really pretty. She had a few spots in her face, slim, pretty, really pretty. And she used to live in the apartment in the block where where I lived in my apartment. And she saw me a few times, and she had that walk, that really sexy walk. I said hello a few times and smiled at her. And I remember seeing one day one guy who obviously liked her. It's like a gated community, a gated area, and he gave flowers to her, right? No, I was walking by, and it's like some kind of cafe or restaurant, and he was having a meal with her, and he had the flowers there. And then as I was going back home, I saw him and her talking, and he gave the flowers to her, but she didn't allow him to pass the gate, and said, "Oh, bye bye." And so she went back inside. What happened was, one day I offered to take her to like a restaurant place, and I was like, I'm quite childish. Instead of talking about serious stuff, I walked with her from the place that we lived all the way to a place called Shidan, and it's like a mall area, this big mall, and you've got places where you can eat. And I brought my rucksack with me, and I had all these like magic tricks. And I was showing her one magic trick after another magic trick. And I thought, I should probably think I'm childish, but I was childish at the time. You know. And I think now it's a good thing that I was childish, and instead of being the usual serious, man. So then I walked we walked back home because she lives in the same building as I do. And then she showed me her apartment, and it was like almost bare. It was empty. Just had a bed there. And I thought, oh, okay. It was really small compared to my one. And I thought she was going to invite me in, but she no, she said, "Oh, okay, bye bye." She closed the door and then she left. I think all this time she was brewing. You know, like when you brew or cooking, she was cooking all the time. So one day I got a phone call from her and she said, "Oh, hello, Jero, and I'm in trouble." I said, "What trouble?" She said, I forgot my key to my apartment in my workplace, and I've got nowhere to go." I'm a simple guy, right? I don't understand anything. I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "I've got no money. I can't pay for any room for the night." I said, "Okay, don't worry. I'll fix it. I've got money, and you can. I'll give you money. You can go. You can take a taxi to your place, and then there must be a security guard there. And she said, "Oh no, no, it'll be difficult with a security guard." She said, "No, it can't be done." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, what can I do for you? You want money and you can go and I'll give you money. You can go and stay at a hotel." She said, "No, no, no. Maybe I can stay at your place." And I thought, "Oh," and I thought, "This girl is so pretty. She looks so nice." And I thought, "Wow, it's like I just won the lottery. This is so nice." So I said, "Yeah, okay, you can come and stay." And immediately I thought, "Oh, is there a bloody mess in, in my place?" I tentatively I took her back home, and then I prepared the bed for her because there's only one bed, my bed, and I said, you fall asleep, and I'll work on the computer all night." Because I think it was a studio. It was a big studio, but it was just a studio all in one room. And so then she fell asleep, and I was working on the computer. And I thought, what the fuck do I do all night? Sorry, what the hell do I do all night? Mate, I'll go out for a walk. But later on, she was having none of that. She had her own plan. So she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, "Why don't you come sleep?" And I said, "No, no, I'll stay here. It's okay. It's okay. I've got work to do." So then she pulled me. She said, "Come lie down." I thought, "Oh no." So okay, then I sat down, I lied down, all my clothes on and everything, and I turned my body around. You're being polite, right? You're a good man. You're trying to be polite, and I turned my body away from her on the edge of the bed on the other side, and she was on this side. She turned round and she cuddled up to me, and I thought, "Oh shit, what do I do?" So eventually she started touching me, and then things got out of control, and we made love. Sorry, I don't want to say it, but we were intimate. We did the deed, but I felt so great afterwards. I thought, wow, beautiful. No, she wasn't extremely beautiful, but she was so pretty. And yeah, after we made love, and I just couldn't help it. I said, it's really cringe, but I said, I love you, And her reaction, I didn't expect her to have this reaction. She said, "No, don't say that. Don't say that." I thought, what the fuck is going on? And I felt so, at that moment, I felt used, so used. I thought, she just wanted to be with me, and she doesn't really want to be with me just for that night. And I woke up in the morning, and I didn't sleep all that night. I was exhausted. I was exhausted because, not because of that, but because I didn't sleep. And the next day she left. She was all polite, all nice, smiled. She said, "See you." And I just deleted her from my contacts. I didn't want to see her, speak to her again. I felt used, basically. I just felt used. She may have wanted to talk to me again, but I just didn't. I didn't give her the opportunity because I was butthurt because she said, "Don't say that. Don't say that." What am I supposed to say? I know maybe I shouldn't have said it, but for a woman to say, "Don't say you love me," and be kind of almost annoyed. Yeah, I didn't give her a second chance. That was that experience. Another experience I had was when I was in the supermarket in Jiaxing. It's an American, sorry, not American. It's a French supermarket called Auchan. I was there doing my shopping, and I got to the cashier, and I paid for everything, and I saw this skinny lady behind me smiling, and I said, "Oh, hi." Yeah. So as I got to, because I used to take my electric bike home. I used to drive the electric bike home with my shopping. I got talking to her. Her English was okay, and she just asked me where I was from. I said, "Oh yeah, from England, from London," and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm Italian. My parents are Italian, and I was born in London." Just tell you just some basic stuff, just basic words that I'd learned. Like I was saying, "Oh yeah, 我在伦敦长大，但是我的父母是意大利人," which basically means I grew up in London, but my parents are Italian. It's just some basic phrases, some sentences that you know you can use in conversation. And so I said, "Oh, I live here, in a place called Ballydorshire." She said, "Oh, I live near there as well." So obviously I said, "Oh, do you want a lift?" She said, "Oh, okay, thank you." So she went behind me, she sat behind me, and I drove her there. And I was driving and talking to her, and she then says to me, when we nearly arrived, she said, "Oh, would you like to?" No, no. She said, "Can I come and see your house?" I said, "Oh, my house is really dirty now. Sorry, next time." She said, "Oh, okay, yeah." She said, "I want to see your house." And so I said, "I promise you, next time you can see my house. We'll keep in contact." I gave her my number. So then what happened was she phoned me later on, within say an hour. She said, "Would you like to come to my house, my apartment?" I said, "Sorry, I'm really busy at the moment." And then she just said what she wanted to say. She said, "I want to make love." I thought, fucking hell, not another one. And how does a man how can you reject a woman? I mean, how do you? I just said to her, like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm really busy at the moment. Thank you." I said, "Thank you." I said, "Thank you. That's a very nice thing you said, but I'm very busy." And then I put the phone down and I just deleted her. That's at the bloody supermarket. The thing is, she wasn't really pretty. She was actually like, I don't know. I don't mark women, but she wasn't pretty. She wasn't pretty at all, and really skinny. So, and maybe late 20s or early 30s. So, maybe she didn't have a boyfriend or whatever. She was randy. but but the first Asian woman I knew, the first Asian girlfriend was her name was Domona Yamaguchi. I think she was studying to be a lawyer or solicitor. And I met her actually in the 90s. In the 90s when, my parents were around, when in London. And she came to live in our house, and she rented a room. Yeah, we stayed with each other, was it for a year and a half, I think? And that's why I wanted to go to Japan. I was so interested in Japan and Japanese culture. And so, yeah, when I had her as my girlfriend, I felt really nice. But I found her to be quite cold, you know, really cold. The love making wasn't any good. It's just like so cold. It's just like a statue there. It wasn't. It was very very strange. I mean, other guys have told me, yeah, Japanese women. Some women are like that. They just don't make any noise. That's so horrible. No feeling. No. I did actually meet a woman from Thailand who lived in London, and I didn't have a relationship with her, but had a friendship with her. she wasn't nice. I mean, she was nice, but not attractive at all. See, when you go to China, when you go to Asia, you've got those really nice ones. But the ones that come here, that come over here, you don't get much of a pick, much of a choice. So they're usually not that pretty. I remember in China, I saw so many beautiful. I remember seeing one girl. She was so probably. I mean, only seen this twice in my life. No, twice I saw this in China. There was a woman, and maybe she was about to get married or pregnant. I think she was pregnant or about to have a baby. She was wearing pink, and it's like she was glowing. I've never seen that before, and she just looked like she had chi, like energy around her. She was unbelievable. She was just walking. She looked like she had a bit of a belly, and a pink dress, and she just smiled. She was glowing. I've never experienced that before. I thought, wow, wow, that's something really strange about this woman. And it happened again in the KFC. There was a woman sitting down, and it's as if like everybody was different. Everybody was normal, and she was just sitting there like a Buddha, like a glowing, like there's some weird energy, like that, really, really special. So I sat down next to her, and I said, "Well, can I sit down?" Put my tray down there, and then she explained to me that she's a Christian. She believes in Jesus Christ and stuff like that. So maybe it was Jesus, that vibe, that energy. Yeah, only on those two occasions in my life I've seen a woman or human being that glowed. I mean, obviously there's no glow, but they just look so. I think it's called the glow. They have that glow. They look special. They have some. I don't know. Their energy is elevated. And they just look glowing. Yeah, only twice I've seen, and it was two women. One in Beijing, with the one with the pink dress, and one in Jiaxing. Maybe the one in Beijing with the pink dress was also a Christian. Maybe it's a Jesus vibe. I don't know. So those are my experiences with a few of my experiences with women in Asia, in China. Some were nice experiences, some not so nice. Obviously, I met my wife and I had nice experiences. Obviously, I met her and I got married to her. So obviously, I was in love and very happy. But actually, just before I met her, we we were dating and then we split up. So I didn't think I was going to be with her. So I thought there was a girl at the time, is it Kanji? Or so, I don't know, I can't remember. Kanji, her name is. And she was only 22 and she was interested in me. So I thought, okay, let's make a date. I met her in a restaurant, and then as I was as I was walking on the street with her, my wife now, but she was my at the time she was my I thought she was my ex-girlfriend because we split up. We had a massive argument, and I said, "Okay, I'm going," and she left, and I left. And so she caught us. What caught us? She saw us walking down the street. She was holding on to me, and she was talking in Chinese, and the girl was talking back. She said, "Oh no, he's my brother. We're just friends. He's my brother." And she probably was saying, I don't know what she said, but she said something in Chinese, and caused a bloody scene there. In the past, I was a bit of a, what those men, not is it Chad? Those guys that chase after women and treat them a bit maybe not so nice because I had a I had choices. I had so many women I could choose from. I'm not exactly handsome, but I still had more choices than a lot of choices, more choices than I had in the UK. That's for sure. And so when I was walking with this girl, she said, "Are you going to come? with me. I'll come to your apartment or something. We have to discuss something. I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. And so I just walked off with this girl, and yeah, I spent the night with this girl. Went to a hotel and I spent the night with her. Yeah, I couldn't believe that I did that, but because I thought me and her were over. So I mean, nowadays that wouldn't happen. I would. It would take me a long time to split up. Break up and then find somebody else. But I was so paranoid. You know, I went to a hotel and I slept with this young girl. Well, 22, not young girl. I was about 30, 30 something. I just messed it up because I got so paranoid because we didn't use any protection. Immediately after I was with her, I started worrying about HIV. I had this stupid thing. No, not stupid. I had this fear in my head. And I kept telling her, no, we have to go to the hospital. You have to get checked out. I have to see if I'm okay, if you're okay. That just ended the relationship. My goal with her was to go to the hospital to check to see if I had HIV or she had HIV. And that ruined the relationship. And I didn't want to be with her. I just wanted to find out the HIV status, and that's it. And that's what I did. And I kind of regret that, but then after a few weeks, I went back to she was my ex. She contacted me and she told me she's pregnant. I thought, bloody hell. And that ended and I was caught. That ended my playing days were over. And and then some people say, are you sure? Like she just did that to trap you. Well, I don't know. Oh, some people say, yeah, you need a DNA test, mate. No, I mean, that is, I think it's destiny. That is what happened. Before before we split up, she was actually pregnant, but none of us knew. The choices were for us not to get together and for her to have an abortion. And I didn't want any part of that. I said, no, no. If you're pregnant, then I'll stay with you. But then she said, if you stay with me, then we have to get married because the children, it's not acceptable in this society. So I thought, oh my God, what do I do? I have to get married. If I don't get married, then she's not going to have the child. She's going to have an abortion. It's like blackmail, like emotional blackmail. Blackmail. I couldn't be part of like killing a baby, a human being. So I had to get married. As they say, and the rest is history. Yeah. So that's like a little story about my experiences in China with women, the Asian women. I really like Asian women. I like the way they look. They're petite, slender. In China, you get you get these women. The women in Sichuan, they are so pretty. Some of them are so pretty. They have that really pretty face. I did actually meet the first time I came to China. I did meet a really pretty woman. I think her name was Lily as well. Lily seems to be a very popular name. And she was pretty. Her face was so pretty. I think she was divorced, but she was really, really pretty. I never tried it on anything. She was just a friend. Yeah, so there you go. Those are my experiences with the ladies in China or Asian ladies. I have that just like many men, that Asian fever. It's just something about that Asian look that I really like. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I just love Asian women. Not all Asian women. Chinese, Japanese, Koreans. Yes, some are okay, but I don't particularly like the Filipino or Thailand women. Some Thailand women are really nice. I was wondering if you men have got yellow fever. Have you dated Asian women? If not, then you're missing out because some are really nice. Well, anyway, I'll speak to you guys another time. Yeah, just thinking about my exploits in China, it brings me back. It makes me feel so old. Now I've got a family, and not going out, not meeting a girl, not meeting, that energy is so different. Now, staying at home, looking after the dogs, you know, being with my wife for so many years and not. Isn't it ironic? It's strange. You're with a woman, married, but you can't touch a woman. You can't touch her because she's become frigid, and you can't go out of the relationship and touch another woman because you're married. It's horrible, really horrible. Yeah, but it's about to end soon. Yeah, some guys say, "Oh yeah, bro, go to China. Go to the Philippines." I don't want to start that again. I like to look at them. They just look nice. For me, they just look nice. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for listening. Probably have other stories, but I can't really think of any at the moment. But those were the main ones, strange ones. All right, speak to you guys later. Um, Send me a comment, or comment down below. Like or dislike, and share, or let me know what you thought about this video. Sorry if it's a bit boring, but it's just that I'm a bit vague because I'm just really thinking about the past. And it was really nice. I was young at the time, in my 30s. I had energy, I had money, I was in China, and I was in demand. Not anymore. Okay, speak to you guys later. Bye.